and welcome to our 5th episode of From the Booth, the Arizona Talking Book Library podcast. This is Cassidy.
Hi there, this is Sara.
And we are very excited to announce our special guest for this episode. Our last 2 episodes had some exciting guests from the National Library Service, but we have an equally exciting guest here with us today, our very own librarian, Elizabeth.
I don't know if I'm as cool as Alice and Kevin from the previous episodes, but I'll take it.
Many of you will already be familiar with Elizabeth. She is our librarian that handles patrons with last names A through D, as well as our youth patrons. Mm-hmm. So even if you aren't one of her direct patrons, you've probably heard from her at some point. But Elizabeth, tell us a little bit more about what you do here at the Talking Book Library.
So just like you guys, I handle a lot of the book requests for anyone, like you said, A through D. I run the summer reading program for our kiddos and our adults. And if you read our newsletter, you may recall reading about the Librarian roadshows that happened last year. So I did those trips to Yuma and Kingman, and then up to northern Arizona as well. So you've heard about me probably in a little, different capacities.
You brought our library mascot, Monty, what is he, a mounted lion?
Yes, the mountain lion plushie.
Mm-hmm. Elizabeth had a chance to pose him in some really scenic locales around the state, just for fun.
The most precarious being his homeland of the Grand Canyon National Park, where he came from. I definitely put him way too close to the edge of the canyon on the north side when I was visiting up in Meadview, and I was so worried. It was windy. I was like, he's going to fall into this canyon. I need to catch him. So when I got back, Erin, our director, looked at some of the photos and was like, oh, he's really close. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. He came back.
But it made for some great pictures.
Yes, which you can see Monty's thrill-seeking adventures if you follow us on our Facebook and Instagram accounts. We have library updates, reading recommendations, and the adventures of Monty. So
he's had a much more exciting last few months than I have. That's for sure.
Yes, but it's really great to see how our patrons talk with us on the phone all the time, but which we love talking with our patrons on the phone as well. But there really is so much going on behind the scenes that we do to try and make your library service as exciting as it can possibly be.
And to get out there and reach more people around the state.
Yes, exactly. So,
and the best part of those roadshows was really getting the chance to see current patrons, especially, I would say Prescott had the biggest turnout. I had people lined up waiting for me. They put chairs out at the library so that people weren't waiting uncomfortably. And so it was just fun for the whole 2.5 hours or so.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's really cool. Thank you, Prescott.
Yes. And the Prescott Public Library, shout out. We love them.
Yes. No, we love all of our library partners and all of our patrons. So shout out to you guys. But speaking of libraries, Elizabeth, how did you kind of end up in the library world for your career?
Very haphazardly, probably in the most roundabout way possible, which happens, I think, to a lot of librarians.
I was going to say, very common story.
I mean, growing up, I lived in rural Michigan, so we didn't really have many libraries. I didn't have a chance to visit the public library very often.
Okay. And
I kind of remember growing up when I was in Wichita early years. Maybe my Grammy would take me to the public library, but it just wasn't a core memory that I ever had. Even though I liked them, supported them, no problems, but didn't have a ton of access, so I just didn't go. And my parents were always busy. Yeah. So never really on the horizon. And when I went to undergrad, I went in thinking I was going to be a history major and professor, and that was my path in life. It was going to be great. And I realized I don't want to teach college children. That's not what I want to do. So I ended up changing my major before Thanksgiving first semester.
Oh, wow, okay.
Changed it to English with an art history and French minor. Mm-hmm. And imagine going home to my very practical parents saying, hey, I'm not going to be a professor, so you weren't worried about me. You might worry about me now. I'm going to get an English degree. And I was at a liberal arts college, so can you be that surprised? No. But I just recall my dad looked at me over Thanksgiving dinner, straight-faced, very serious. And he was like, well, what exactly are you going to do with that? How are you going to put food in the pantry with an English degree? And knowing my dad, he is not always that serious, so I thought he was joking with me. And I looked him dead in the eye and I said, alphabetically. And he looks at me, he's like, oh, you're going to be just fine. Go figure it out.
That's so sweet.
But it's true. I was like, I'll figure it out, Dad. I don't know, but I'm going to put those in the pantry alphabetically. That's what I'll do.
You know, it's really funny because I had kind of the opposite experience from you guys. My undergraduate degree was actually in aerospace engineering, and then I switched after I graduated. So people were like, are you sure you want to switch to library science? And I was like, no, I love books. It'll be fine. And now here I am. So
yeah, that is a terrifying moment to make the change.
Yeah, but I mean, the world of libraries is just such a rewarding place to be.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and it was wild, you know, when I started the English degree, I didn't even consider public librarian or librarianship as an option.
Right.
No one told me about it.
No.
And so it just always felt like it was behind this veil. And I was like, oh, babe, people do it, but I don't know, it's not what
but
I
like
can
they select librarians from like a mysterious like pot, like cauldron of people, and they're like, suddenly a librarian will just like manifest into the library, right?
And it feels like that in the academic world. It's like, well, this person was an academic turned librarian, so clearly that's, you have to be an academic first. And then, you know, I go through undergrad, get my degrees, and I realized, ooh, I really like art history even more than I like English. And, you know, I did my senior thesis in art history. And so that was just kind of the route I wanted to take. I had done several summer internships in the Wichita Art Museum education department. So I was very dead set on the museum world. And that's what I did for several years out of college. I loved it. And then I decided, hey, what if we went and back and got another degree? And so I ended up at Penn State for art history for my master's program. And I started that fall 2019. Great. Everything went really well for that fall semester. It was so fun. Spring semester starts. We're in the thick of midterms, and I'm not thinking about anything outside of the papers and the exams that I have due. And left for spring break, went to my best friend's house in Cleveland and hung out. And suddenly they were talking about like sanitizing and needing to get toilet paper. And I sat there going, what on earth are you talking about? Like, why? We have toilet paper. You're fine. No one on campus had been talking about COVID. There had been no emails. Cohort was small. We were under 8 people, I think. No one was talking about it.
Right, no.
And so suddenly everything was going online. We had to kind of figure that all out. And so,
the whole world,
I did my art history master's degree mostly virtually. Some in-person lectures with our cohort rather than undergrads and things. But that was weird. And so graduated May 2021. The world was in disarray. I couldn't really go into museums very easily.
That's true, yeah.
I mean, museums weren't hiring because they weren't doing programming. I was focused on education. That wasn't happening. There was an influx of people losing their cultural museum jobs due to the pandemic. Influx of graduates. The job market was just flooded. So I applied to well over 100 different positions and heard back from just a handful of them, but nothing went very far.
Wow.
And so I started thinking, okay, where do I want to be after this whole ordeal? Like, what do I want? And I needed a little bit of a brain break. I ended up applying for a part-time position at the Sun City Libraries with the Maricopa County Library District in Phoenix. And I said, okay, Mom, Dad, I'm coming home. We're going to figure this out, and I'm going to work part-time. And they're like, oh, okay, we trust you. We got this. We'll figure it out. Cool. And so I tumbled into libraries.
Where were you when you applied to that job?
I was just finishing up my master's degree in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So I was finishing up my dissertation, and, you know, it was still fairly early, and I was like, hi, I cannot get to this position until the very beginning of June. Is that okay? Are you willing to wait for me? Because it was about a month and a half, 2 months in advance. Wow. And they were very kind to wait for someone filling a part-time position.
Yeah, that's great.
My supervisors there were absolutely fantastic, so I can't thank them enough for taking the chance on me.
Yeah.
Because not a lot of people would wait to fill a part-time role.
Right. That's great.
Yeah.
Worked out for us.
Yes.
And then, 6 months in, I got a full-time position at the Northwest branch in Surprise, which is now part of the Surprise City Regional Library, so they're no longer Maricopa County.
Yeah.
And that's how I ended up here. Needed a little bit of a switch.
Well, we're glad to have you.
Thank you.
What appealed to you about when you saw this job posting? What appealed to you? Because
I had been working in Sun City, and so a lot of that population is older, blind, losing their vision, and so it's something they're struggling with. They have the largest large print book collection of all the Maricopa County libraries, and they also have the Books by Mail program. They were serving homebound patrons in Maricopa County with large print books. And that's where I started realizing, oh, wow, like this is actually a need I had never considered before.
Yeah.
And so when I was job searching again, I saw this random talking book library position open. It was a state position, which I was kind of confused about. I had no idea about talking books. But I thought, ooh, I have an interesting in with the Books by Mail program.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Let's just go for it. And they wanted someone with a library degree. And I was like, I don't have a library degree, but I have a master's. I'll apply. The worst they can tell me is no. And that's fine. I'll just never hear from them again. And it was a little while, but they did reach out. Went through the interview process. Took about 2 months, but ended up here very happy.
That's great.
Yes, no, that I had a kind of similar thing happen too, because I actually, when I applied for this job, I started here after you did about 2 years ago. I was actually still living in Ireland completing my master's when I applied for this job, and I was like, this sounds really cool, like, it's close, because I'm from Tucson, so I was like, it's close to my parents, like, I'll just apply. And I remember when I got the first call about interviewing, or actually it was an email, because they emailed me and they were like, are you in the United States or are you still in Ireland? And by that point I had moved back and I was like, no, I'm here, please hire me. So
that's fantastic.
This is, like you said, this is just, I think, a part of libraries that isn't as well known, and it's just a super rewarding and a super cool field to work in. So I'm glad that we found our little niche here.
The librarians have such a varied background, and they have very varied interests.
Yeah.
I mean, it's people that are interested in science, engineering, arts, culture.
Anime.
Yeah.
I like that too, because I love having coworkers with a varied interest, because it exposes me to books, to authors, genres that I probably wouldn't think twice about, but I love it, honestly. I think it's great.
I mean, Cassidy and I do read the weirdest stuff in the office.
We do.
So we accept the challenge.
And I've made many notes. My TBR has grown and grown.
Yeah, I think all of the librarians here have the issue of an ever-expanding TBR list where we're like, oh, that book sounds good. I should read it. And then you go to add it to your list, and it's already 50 books long, and you're like, this is fine. I'll get to it one day.
It is, honestly, I'm never going to get through my list.
I only have 400 books sitting on my Bard wish list.
Oh.
Don't look at my Libby holds. None of that. We don't need to talk about it.
I'm always exceeding my holds limit.
Always.
Not exceeding, reaching. That doesn't make sense to exceed your... Anyways.
Well, if you have more books than you can read, sometimes, which I do, I exceed it.
Well, I mean, the nice thing about our Bard app is that if you, like us, have an ever-expanding TBR list, you can download up to 250 items in a rolling 30-day period. So
and never have to return them until you're done.
Yep. So you can.
How many books do you have downloaded? Honestly, 'cause I think we asked this last episode.
Yes, that's become our new question for all of our guests: is what's in your Bard downloads?
I'm over the 100 mark. I'll just say that much.
I will say I just had to get a new phone. So I do not have the same amount as I did on my last phone, which was upwards of like 98 items.
Okay.
So currently on my Bard, I have 12 books, which is so reasonable.
It is.
Some of which are on my list to talk about today. I have weird things. Maybe
Love
not
it.
weird.
No.
Eclectic items.
Okay, that's a good word.
The new Taylor Jenkins Reid book, Atmosphere.
Yes.
I have the collected schizophrenia essays by Esme Wong, maybe. Disfigured on Fairy Tales, Disability, and Making Space.
Awesome.
My favorite art history book that I got into the NLS collection, Ninth Street Women, was also in our newsletter. So it's Lee Krasner, Elaine de Kooning, Grace Hardigan, Joan Mitchell, and Helen Frankenthaler. I love Frankenthaler with my whole heart.
I think I downloaded that after you talked about that. I haven't read it yet, but I've downloaded it.
I tell anyone who will listen about this book. It's 40 hours, so you have to commit to it.
That's fantastic, though.
But you can't find a lot of art nonfiction in audiobook very easily through places like the public library.
Yeah.
So the fact that we're able to have this on Bard, I'll scream it from the rooftops all day long.
I know, my TBR list is ever growing too. I only have 22 books downloaded on Bard. So
Ooh, very demure.
Very mindful, very demure. Like I said, I am reading so many books right now. My latest book that I started is The Death of Jane Lawrence, which I just read the author's other book recently, The Starving Saints, which if anyone is into medieval horror, that is very unsettling in the best way. The Starving Saints is a great read. But The Death of Jane Lawrence is by the same author, Caitlin Starling, and it's a very spooky. I'm only about 2 hours into the audiobook, but it's another very atmospheric gothic fiction, with that follows this woman, Jane Lawrence, as she kind of enters into a marriage of convenience with the town doctor. And, she kind of starts to realize that something funky is going on. So, it's a little bit of, body horror, again, since one of the main characters is a doctor, so it's a little spooky in that way too, but great narrator. Highly recommend that as well. In the complete opposite direction, I just finished Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage, which is book 2 in a contemporary Western romance series. So if anyone is into Western romance, that series is super fun as well. I believe there's 4 books in that series. The first book is done and dusted. And all of the books I mentioned we have on Bard or available to send out on cartridges.
I love your varied reading interest. That first book you mentioned, it sounds very seasonal as we're getting into fall.
Yes.
They call it a medieval fever dream of a story. And I was like, that is the best review I could ever want. I need to read it immediately.
Yeah, no, that's accurate. It was one of those books where you finish it and the ending satisfies, it's a good ending, but it leaves you with so many questions, and you're like, I have so many questions, I love this, that kind of gives you a little existential crisis as you finish.
And The Starving Saints, it's such an evocative title. I love it.
No, I've heard of it, I haven't read it. This is why my Bard downloads are so long. Again, I don't care. Speaking of Bard, I recently downloaded a nonfiction. It's called The Beach, The History of Paradise on Earth. It is a nonfiction, and it's super interesting. I'm almost done listening to it. I just downloaded it, but it's basically looking at the beach, of course, but it's coming at it from so many different angles. Of course, the beach itself, the physicality, the sand, the evolution, how we get sand. It's looking at the beach culture, the history of the bathing suit. It's looking at how the culture of, taking a trip to the beach was at one point only something the very elite upper class had the privilege of doing, but with the invention of better public transportation, with the invention of holidays, people actually got days off from work. Other classes, like the middle class, can hop on a transit and go down for a day trip. So it's just looking at the cultural, it's looking at the healing properties of water. People used to go to the beach and for physical therapy, for And it's just like all these like little fun little facts how doctors used to prescribe drinking salt water. They used to like,
Ew.
I know. I was like,
I'm sorry,
such
no.
weird things. And they used to encourage people to get out, spend lots of time in the sun before people knew
Sunscreen.
Yes.
before that. And it's just super interesting. And it looked at the whole notion of people not understand how to describe this, like people who didn't really take swim lessons like we do today, and they didn't know about swimming in the ocean and so unfortunately there were lots of drownings going on because I don't know if this is pre-lifeguard, pre-understanding of
like rip currents and stuff.
Thank you. Yeah. And so it's okay. You think a book about the history of the beach would be just so. No, it's super interesting. I would recommend it.
I mean, I always love the beach. I actually, when I was on vacation a few weeks ago in Massachusetts, I got to go to the beach for the first time in like 2 years, and I was like, wow,
And
I'm healed. This is,
yeah,
it was so lovely.
You guys are our Arizona girls, too.
Yes.
we are. And yes, so warning, you read this book, you're going to want to take a trip. So you
Always.
might end up spending some cash.
I mean, luckily, though, with both Bard and our talking book machines, you can take them on the go with you.
That's true. You can go anywhere.
So your books
Planes,
can come with
trains,
you.
and boats.
And automobiles.
Hey.
That was good. What of those 12 books you have downloaded, which one are you listening to now?
I don't think I'm in the middle of a book. I think I just finished some. So I need to start a new one because I will say I track my reading and I have read at least, 30 minutes, 20 minutes a day, every day for the last 620 days. So I have to keep it up. So at some point today, I'm going to have to read, which sometimes I'll do on my lunch break. But it's September, so I'm really in a witchy mood.
Yes.
I just had to kind of try and finish all of my summer romances, so I just read a new Tessa Bailey book that's coming out, Picture Perfect, which is a baseball hockey romance.
Good for summer.
And then Allie Hazelwood's new book that we have in the catalog, Problematic Summer Romance.
Yeah.
Don't get me started, it's fine, but also very summery, so it was good for what it was.
But
now I want witches.
Oh,
I
know.
want fall. I want spook.
I am such a seasonal reader.
Yeah. And I feel like I get in the mood for other seasons, but something about fall just makes me want either like horror, which we talked about already, or like those super cozy, like, this person lives in a small town and as they're decorating their pumpkins for Halloween, a handsome carpenter comes and they find the meaning of love, or...
And ghosts.
And ghosts, for some reason. Yeah. So...
A side helping of ghosts.
So I just finished a middle grade series because I read kind of from all reading levels.
Oh.
As a youth librarian, I feel like that's just kind of par for the course.
100%. Even I don't have that excuse, but I do the same. Go on. I'm sorry.
So there's a series. The first book is called Witchlings. It's by Gabriel Ortega. And it's fun, kind of inspired by Harry Potter, but really deals with some pretty systemic issues that are put forth for a younger generation in a very easy way. It's not very overt, and it's just stuff that they're going to deal with at school, like bullying and why are you getting bullied. So these witches in the town gather on a very specific night when the magic and the prophecy is aligned, and it's the sorting ceremony where everyone gets sorted into their covens. And they have the coven houses, the witches of the older generations bring them into the fold and teach them things. But there is always 3 witches left over sorted into a spare coven. And the spares don't get magic lessons. They don't get extra magic increased like the other witches that are sorted into proper covens. They actually tend to end up as like the outcasts in society. They end up as servants to witches on the hill, and our main character just desperately wants to be in House Hyacinth with her best friend. It's all they've ever dreamed of. And guess what happens? She's a spare.
No.
But if the spares don't, like, accept what has happened, and, like, all of the witches, if you don't accept the coven that you've gotten, and everyone doesn't accept it, like, the coven will break, and you will lose your magic forever. So if these spares don't accept their place as a spare, they lose it.
Oh my goodness.
And they are stunted for the rest of their lives. And that is what happens. They don't connect, like, the main character just cannot fathom that this has happened. She's concerned. She's 13 and she doesn't know what's going on. So she invokes the right to the impossible quest.
Okay.
And has to, you know, catch the night beast that is raging against the town with her coven sisters, her 2 coven sisters, in order to keep her magic. And it's an impossible task. You're not supposed to be able to complete it. So that's the premise.
Impossible on purpose, I'm sure.
Yes. Premise of book 1, should 13-year-old witches who have no formal training be trying to capture a night beast, a mystical creature that the adults can't capture? No, but welcome to middle grade.
This sounds really good.
It sounds like a very fun read.
We've got books 1 and 2 on the catalog already, so that's a great one to read. And then on the adult side, I'm obsessed with author Silvia Morano Garcia.
Oh, yeah.
She did Mexican Gothic. She has The Daughter of Dr. Moreau, which is a retelling of The Island of Dr. Moreau. So she's horror. She loves academia. Everything's kind of dark and spooky. So I just read her new book called The Bewitching, which is dual timeline, well, actually 3 timelines dealing with, you know, generations of magic users in semi-normal settings. The main character is an academic getting her PhD and is an RA for the summer, kind of keeping an eye on campus, and things just start to go wacky with her research into witches. And an author, and then it interlaps with her grandmother's story and how she inherited her powers. Like, oh, it's so good.
I want to throw on a sweater, drink some tea,
Light a candle,
and just read these seasonal books. And I don't know.
I mean, at least our weather is finally cooling down. You know, we're in the 90s now here in Phoenix.
It's cloudy today.
Listen.
It's cloudy the day that we're recording this, so we are all feeling very cozy. But, you know, now that it is cooler and we can start to think about leaving our houses again.
Seriously, especially the mornings. Oh,
Right.
It's getting great.
No, it's the perfect time to reintroduce patrons to one of our most exciting programs, which is our Culture Pass program.
Woohoo!
Yay! So, Elizabeth, can you tell us more about our Culture Pass program?
Absolutely. Culture passes are my baby. I love them. When I started, I was very early in my role as a librarian here. One of the supervisors made an offhanded comment about, you know, I wish we had culture passes. And I sat there and I was like, yeah, the public libraries have them. And we try to offer as much like a public library as possible to make, you know, the experience as well-rounded for our patrons. And so I sat there thinking, why don't we have culture passes? So I reached out to Act 1 Arizona, who does culture passes for the public libraries, just checking to see if this was even a possibility. And we're the first library of our kind that they have worked with. They're mostly with the public libraries across the state. So it has been very exciting. We launched them last November, so we're coming up on a year here soon of culture passes.
Oh, yay!
And what they are passes you can check out on your account if you are a patron of the Arizona Talking Book Library. And each pass gives you 2 free adult admissions to an organization of your choice. So often our patrons are going with a caregiver, a family member, a friend, someone who often can transport them to the location. Or I have 2 patrons that were both visually impaired. They took a dial-a-ride together to their organization on their single pass. So that was really fun. And we have Central Arizona, Northern Arizona, and a couple of Southern Arizona locations. The big ticket item, I think, for our patrons has been the Desert Botanical Gardens, because that is one that tends to be a little bit more expensive when you're going just as a normal person. It's not always an accessible place financially. So having 2 free admissions to the Desert Botanical Gardens is just fantastic.
Yeah.
And all of the organizations that we worked with Act One as an intermediary to talk to the organizations to see who had accessibility already in place for our patrons, so that we also weren't sending anyone somewhere where they aren't equipped or may not have, staff who understand our needs.
Yeah, because as opposed to the public libraries where we had to think more about accessibility, and so that was great.
Yeah, because at the public library, you walk in, you grab it, you go. It's very much self-service. For us, we want to make sure that our patrons are going to be comfortable and at an organization that is ready for them. So we do make sure before we add anyone that they understand that we have kind of some special requests or limitations or things to think about with our patrons coming. And the public library passes check out for 7 days, and once it's expired, you don't have to return anything, which is great. Ours is very similar. You don't have to return the pass. It gets turned into the organization for their statistics, but we check out for 30 days. That will allow us to send the pass to you in the mail.
Right.
For you to organize someone to go with you if you want, or organize transportation to the organization, and give you time to get there, enjoy it without feeling like you're rushed. And I don't want you to be stressed about going to a fun place in Phoenix or otherwise.
Yeah, a big part of what you said is we need to mail ours out, of course.
And the mail can take upwards of a week and a half sometimes. So I don't want someone to get a pass, checks out for 7 days, and then by the time it arrives in the mail, it's either expired or they have 1 day to use it.
Right.
That's horrible and stressful for anyone.
Right, exactly.
I think about parents with kids. You can't even do that with children.
So, no, this is a great program, and, we have, I think, 12 organizations.
I think it's 10 organizations.
10 organizations available for Culture Pass checkout. So, if you're interested in Culture Passes, give your librarian a call, and, we're happy to get you set up with those. So, it's an awesome program. We encourage everybody to try it out if that seems like something you would be interested in. I know I love a good museum trip, so...
And if I can make a plug for some art museums, considering my art history degree, we have passes to the Phoenix Art Museum, the Heard Museum. We've got the Tucson Museum of Art.
Have so many cool museums available. So
call your librarian, check and see what's available in your area, whether you're northern, southern, or central Phoenix, and we can definitely get you set up. The only stipulations we have is there are no holds. So we have a finite amount of passes available at any given time. And if they're all checked out, we can't put you on a wait list. You just have to call back and check. And then you can only have 1 pass out on the account at a time.
Okay, I was going to ask.
So if you check it out, you have those 30 days. You will not be able to check out a new Culture Pass until that 30 days has passed, even if you've already gone and used it. It's exactly the same parameters as the public library, and that's how we're allowed to have our special checkout time and special locations through Act 1. So we try to keep it as close to by the book as possible. But it's super fun.
That's great. That's a great addition to the collection for sure.
Yeah, and then, once you're done with your trip to the museum, if you want to learn more about something that you learned about at the museum, you can always call your librarian and we can create a little reading list for you. So, always, anytime you have questions about the Culture Pass or just want to talk about books or anything, always give your librarians a call. We love to talk about anything library related, as you know by listening to this podcast episode. So
I think a lot of our patrons are always, what I hear a lot is they're so sorry to bother me with a book request or a search that they're not sure what they're looking for, but they just know they want something. And I always have to tell people, this is what we do. We are here for you. We're here to take your calls. This is what we do day in, day out. And sometimes you do have to leave a message because we are on the phone all day long.
Yes.
So never be afraid. Let us know you need a call back and we will call you, or we will send you your books if you leave it in a message. I have some people that just say, hey, I want X, Y, and Z. no need to call me back, and I just send it straight out. They get it in a couple of days, and, we just want to make sure we're available anytime.
With that, like Elizabeth said, we are always happy to get some books going for you, and in the meantime, you can always listen to our podcast episode if you want to hear more of us chatting. So, but yeah, thank you, Elizabeth, for joining us on our 5th episode of From the Booth, the Arizona Talking Book Library podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and until next time.
Have a great day.